Welcome back to the Pressure Point Dojo here on Channel Fight. In this episode 6, we're going to be talking about something called tuité or tuité-jitsu. The term tuité, also pronounced tuidi or torite, refers to the aspect of the martial arts that involves manipulating joints. The Chinese equivalent term would be chinna. Tuité can't be separated out from kyusho-jitsu, that these two arts are enmeshed, they're entwined, they're entangled with each other. We describe them separately. We talk about doing tuité technique or doing a kyusho-jitsu technique, but in fact, they're really part of a whole. They're always trained together, and the principles, which at first we describe independently, those principles start to overlap in some really interesting ways. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. What we're going to do here is start with a few just basic tuité maneuvers. So let's go on into the Masterclass. First technique in the tuité we talk about is, there's a lot of different names for this. Wrist compression, we call it the wrist reversal. It's also called kotogaishi. Whatever. These are just names. But here's the methodology. First, the wrist bends back this way, but not center. If I bend back here, I'm on the middle finger, which I've seen a lot of people teach. If I do that, I don't get very good results. I have to move off center. So I go into the space between the fourth and the fifth metatarsals, and I do there. Suddenly it changes everything. This also begins to automatically cause that I don't just bend the hand back, but I'm doing two other things at the same time. I'm rotating the hand this way, and I'm also rotating the hand this way. Do you see that? So there's a rotation here and another rotation here. That's what makes this work. This is how we approach these things. We don't just do one thing, we do 5 at the same time. So I grab, I bend, I twist the hand this way, and I rotate this way, and I do all those simultaneously. That's very effective. If I add the pressure points to that, with this hand, I'm going to grab and catch either here on lung 10, or I reach over and catch deeper. There's an extraordinary point in the meat of the thumb. I like to get lung 10 if I can. This finger is, I'm trying to get into the point here, which is called triple warmer 3. If I do that, just that's very effective. But a lot of times it's hard if you don't, somebody has a big hand or you have weakness in your fingers. You can take your heart 8 point. Your heart 8 point is directly opposite your triple warmer 3 point. If you took a needle, you could push it through the one, it would come out the other. So I can do that. Instead of putting my thumb here, I can actually just grab with this hand, hook his thumb, and concentrate only on catching this 1 point here, and then take my heart 8 point and touch it to his triple warmer 3 point. Now let me show you how this works. Make a fist for me, Dean. Dean is very strong. He's a strong guy. See? But if I take that heart 8 point and touch triple warmer 3, there we go, it starts to break down. Now watch this fingers right here. See this? I grab, I catch a little bit on the heart meridian to help weaken this already. I touch here. I start to go. I'm going to use a principle of changing. I put the pressure on, exhaling, then I inhale. Change my breath. The next tuité technique that we talk about, these are the basic tuité against the wrist, is we call this a wrist turn press. It's called a center lock. It's called an S lock. I've heard it's called number 2. But basically you want about, not 90 degrees, greater than 90 degree angle here, greater than 90 degree angle at the wrist. Palm faces the outside line of his body. This is the basic method. So if I do this first, now I'm going to make a circle this way. That's number 1. Now, if we're squared up to each other, I can do this, but he can resist it. But if I move to his 45, then it works better. So we cut to the 45. I can also make him move to the 45. That would be a kick to the leg. Now he's on the 45, and it makes it work better. Another thing that you can do along these same lines is I'm trying to use my hands this way, but I can do this. I can lay that on my body, and then I can just squeeze down. See? Notice how I put the pressure on, and then I had to move to the 45 again. Now, let's go off a grab here. I come up one. Right here is a small intestine point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chase it with this knuckle. Don't do this. Because first, I'm not getting much of a result, but second, see, he can take my fingers and attack me. So I need to not do this. I keep my hand closed so he can't take my fingers, but also I'm going to chase this knuckle, this point. This is a fire point, this is a water knuckle. I'm going to go after that point. This causes my hand to not only rotate this way, but it also twists a little bit this way. This gives me that little extra angle that puts him down. A different technique you can use with a similar result is you can take your fingers and you push across the top of the forearm this way. It's like giving a person a rope burn. We used to call this when I was a kid. You press down really hard and you go like this. And what you're doing is you're cutting across the triple warmer meridian. At triple warmer 5, 6, and 7, there's this little zigzag. Anytime you have a zigzag, you have a place where energy gets highly agitated. Just think of a river. As long as the river is straight, the water is smooth. The minute the river starts to curve back and forth, the water gets churned up. So anytime you find a place where a meridian zigs or zags, that's a place where the energy is active. It's a good place for attacking. The way Sensei would always talk about this, he'd say, try to straighten out the zigzag. So you just rake across with that. This is really, really effective. Now, I'm going to show you another piece. Let's look at angles here for a second. Look, I can take this. See how his elbow's to the side, but if his elbow is straight this way, I can turn here. This is not a great position for my shoulder, but that really hurts him. So that might be something I would do if grabbed here. I might turn this way and twist like that. But I can also do this. Watch this elbow, bump his elbow. Now what I've done is I've turned him so he's on this slightly upward 45 angle. Now I'm going to cut the downward 45 angle, 90 degrees, to the angle I've created here. That's also very, very painful. Now I'm going to show you a last thing to do with this one simple technique. This is going to come off of this motion here. When I cut across this way, this allows me to reach all the way around and then to grab underneath. I can actually reach around the bone and grab underneath. So it's you push him down and then you reach and pull him back up. Of course, this section that we're in the middle of is from my subscription service, Masterclass with Chris Thomas. Masterclass with Chris Thomas is an extensive library of in-depth video instruction covering Ishinryu Karate, Ryukyu Kempo, Tai Chi, Okinawan weapons, and so much more. It's a great value at $399 per year, but as a viewer of the Pressure Point Dojo, you can subscribe for only $119 per year. That's an amazing 60% discount. Just use the promo code DOJO when you subscribe. That's DOJO in all capital letters. If you've watched previous episodes of the Pressure Point Dojo, you know that here's the part in which I remind you that there's a gap of time between when you subscribe and when I'm able to actually activate your subscription. And then you get an email from me saying that your subscription is active and welcome to Masterclass. And this is the part where I always go, I apologize for the delay, but I tell you it's worth the wait. We're about to go back into the masterclass, more about tuité. And in fact, this section talks about a particular technique. Its Japanese name, I think, is teihiragatame. We refer to it as a palm turn. And I got to tell you, I have found this particular technique to be one of the most useful manipulations of joints that I've ever come across. So let's go back into the masterclass and learn about the palm turn. The third basic technique we do in terms of tuité on the hands and the wrist is called a palm turn. The method is really simple. Greater than 90 angle here, greater than 90-degree angle here, and then I take the hand, basically I'm going to take this hand and rotate it in this direction. To make this work better, you take this finger and put it behind his ring finger and rotate that way. Now there's a couple things you need to see. One is that to defend against this, he wants to raise this elbow. This allows the defense. Now, oh, where'd my technique go? So I have to deal with that. Whenever I do the technique, I need something that keeps that elbow from rising. Or, if I want it to rise on purpose, I use that to just change the angle of this technique. Now, when we're first learning this technique, a lot of times we'll do this sort of central entry off somebody grabbing. I use this shape of my hand. I just push. That forces his fingers to collapse. This allows me to set. The other hand I can touch, you can grab, you can rub on the triple wormer meridian, or you can hit large intestine, and you just turn it. Very, very simple. If you come in from the other hand, this is also one of the common ways in which it was taught. It's fingers to palm. See how my elbow is up? This is a problem. But if you're startled, sometimes you'll be, whoa, crap. You have to get your elbow down. So this hand comes over and grabs, and then you drop your elbow as quick as you can. Drop your elbow. If your elbow is up, you won't get the pressure. You drop your elbow. This will allow you to cut the angle properly. If someone has grabbed you, you can actually utilize this same concept. And here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to find this point here at the base of his fist, and I'm going to drag that against my body. Once this is against my body, and a lot of times you'll see me do a little inward turn here. Makes it easier. I turn in, get this against my body, squeeze it tight, and I rotate. But there's actually the palm turn. See, all of the angles are there and the rotation is there. I'm just using my body as the basis. So the key is I have to pull his fist against my body. Before I pull it, I turn my body to his fist so that I don't have to pull it very far. And then I come back this way. This is very, very common technique in kata. We see this a lot. The palm turn, he grabs, I have to do this. See this motion? Me turning helps bend here and here. I turn, I can grab, and then I just twist. It also can help to slap. So the twist of the hand and the slap same time, very easy. Oh, look at how the elbow hits him in the back of the head. Two-hand grab, watch this. Reach across. His thumb on his triple wormer meridian. This wraps up this way, twist back. This is actually, now that looks really complicated, I know. Reach over, press down, wrap up, turn back. The fact of the matter is, it's actually really fast. It's really, and you can do this, we practice it. Oh, there's the head. There we go, there's the technique. So it's really easy to wrap this stuff up. If I do a palm turn from here, and then he grabs me here and I do a palm turn from here, and if he grabs me by the hair and I do a palm turn from here, and then if he grabs my wrist and I do a palm turn from here, to me that's one technique. That's not 5 techniques. That's one single technique. It's all the same. Because what I'm thinking about is not how I do this to him, but rather what position I'm finding him in. And I'll use whatever method necessary to find him in that position, no matter how it is. If I want him in that place, I'll do whatever it takes to get him in that place. I mean, look at this. This is a wrist turn press done with one finger. And it's really, it's just, it's how do I get his body to go into the position I want? So, wrist reversal, not on the center, but towards the outside. It's even better if you do it here than it is if you do it here, because this is the strongest position for him. Wrist turn press. All of those interesting angles that you get to cut. Lots and lots of ways to play. Palm turn. By the way, palm turn also has this angle. This is called a lateral palm turn, and it has this angle. This is similar to Aikido. In Aikido, there's a technique like this. This is called number 3. But you notice there's not a lot of pain there. There's some, but not much. But if I do this instead, it's a whole nother beast. So I hope what you understand here is that We approach this from the perspective of principle. The first principle for tuité is, what am I doing? What are the angles and the rotations? Finally, we're going to finish up with something that actually kind of jumps us ahead. It's this sort of integration between joint manipulation techniques and striking techniques. And so let's head back into the master class and take a look at this fairly sophisticated concept. I'm not so worried about the joint technique because, right, I can just go this way. See it? And this process of slapping off into the strike, there's this moment of pain right there before the hit comes out. It's actually hard to control that hit because what you do is there's pressure and then the pressure releases and your arm goes. So that pressure builds up in the form of potential energy in your muscles, and your muscles are like, they wind up like springs, and then they release, and the antagonistic muscles can't track fast enough to catch that very easily. So making use of that concept, so this is the first way we make use of it. It would be like I throw a punch, he checks it, I go like this, and then I smack him right through the strike. So it's not that I go into the strike, I go through my joint technique, through my tuité into the strike. So that's the first thing that we do as a starting place. And then here's the second thing. He's got his hands open, he's coming towards me. Hands open?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he might be pushing.
Oh,
and I'll be like, do you see this angle? This is a natural flinch response, but look what this gives me. Now, if I've got fingers here, and I've got his wrist here, and his palm is pointing up, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this pain pressure, and then it comes out this way. Okay? Now, this is actually done with a punch. So this is Naihanchi 3. So we have in Naihanchi 3 this technique frequently. That's what it is. Okay? So the idea is, maybe I've been pushed, I go, hey, he goes, push me again, and then you just go through the fingers. That's what this hand is for.
No.
This is fulcrum activation. This is lever activation. And then that's through it into the punch. This next thing asks a similar question, but says, what happens if I don't go through the joint lock technique, but actually go with the joint technique? So this is one that my friend Will Higginbotham likes. So we're going to work off here. So this is me doing, right, standard wrist turn press. And normally I'd be like, wrist turn press, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do all this stuff. But what happens if I'm here and I'm right in front of him and I just punch him? So the idea is not to get out of it, but to hold on to it and then to punch it. So you come here, you get this. He doesn't even want to hold it. Right? I'm holding that on, and now I'm going to aim this punch, and I punch. You know, so if you think about it, we have a tuité technique for its own sake. We have a hitting technique for its own sake. Then we have this thing which is transition between them, like I hit so that he blocked, and that gives me the tuité, and then out of the tuité comes the strike, right? So I get these relationships happening, and now here's sort of the last kind of relationship, which is they're together as a single movement. If you're familiar with Okinawan martial arts, you may have picked up a couple of references to kata. For example, the one technique we did with what we refer to as a wrist turn press, going to a punch, that's from a kata called seichin. So join me again for the next episode when we're going to look at kata and see how this works. And until then, I'm Chris Thomas. Thanks for watching. Now go train.